special moment for our kids. They've worked extremely hard for that. You know, we're a family, and they play for each other, and it's tough to beat a team like that, regardless of our roster size. You know, it's tough to beat a team that trusts your coaching staff and then trusts each other and picks each other up when we make mistakes.
What does it feel to be 7-0 and just to continue this amazing streak?
We're one game at a time, you know, and we keep focusing on that. And I think we're going to do some special things this year.
1, 2, 3, 4. Hello, everybody, and welcome once again to the Beat Grinder, your weekly dose of high school football in Connecticut. And I'm your host, Sean Patrick Foley. With me, as always, is I got Petey. How are you? It's almost November. It's Halloween. Let's go.
Yeah, we're here. It's getting to the weird part of the year where we're trying to figure out who gets ranked where, who should be where, who's going to make the playoffs, who's not going to make the playoffs, and it's flown. It is really, really, really flown.
I'm going for Halloween as somebody who's just mentally and physically checked out, and I think I'm just going to sleep in.
Yeah, we were talking earlier today, like, we're recording on Monday the 30th, like, the All-State team usually goes up like December 30th, December 31st. Like, we have 2 more months.
Yeah, it's all right. We're having fun. We're having fun, and you know, it's a grind. We love it. So, but you know, just to give you an idea, just how busy everybody is, not just yours truly. We will not have a guest this week. Just too much going on for the guys we wanted. So, no big deal. We're gonna fly a little solo here. I think a lot of you guys just want to, you know, record things that we say and play them back for your kids so you could just like yell and scream and hoot and holler at us all week long just for this and also the Pick'ems podcast. So there'll be plenty of that. Not a lot of stuff you need to skip through. I'm sure a lot of you guys do. But, you know, at the top of the show, you know, I heard a little bit from the kind of the scene over at Sacred Heart University where Pete Masuk hadn't lost to Notre Dame-Fairfield way back in my second year at the Connecticut Post, 2005. And I heard from a lot of Masuk guys saying, we didn't like what you said in the guide this week about Nicky Pellegrino running all over us back then. And I don't know what to tell you guys, but a new chapter now written by Notre Dame-Fairfield. What can you say? The Lancers' dream season continues. Just an overall amazing victory over Masuk to start off. And I don't know what to really kind of say about it other than it's just, I thought, I'm sitting there watching the highlights that Will Alden was posting, Pete, and I'm like, there is just no way Notre Dame-Fairfield could keep this up. And 37-23, Notre Dame-Fairfield, they're undefeated. Bryson Razor threw 3 touchdown passes and ran for another. Skylar Burgess caught 2 of those TDs, and Masuk, man, just couldn't keep up. Depth, an issue, Pete, we thought for ND. I could have sworn there was no way they were keeping up, but guess not. First up, let me just say, it looks like Robert Klein from Masuk, the quarterback, is back under center for the Panthers, so good for him. But, you know, he threw a TD pass to Jason Champagne to start. Masuk goes up 9-0 because Notre Dame took an intentional safety, but it was all Notre Dame in the final 3 quarters. Razor hits Jose De Jesus, then he hits Burgess with a short TD. Masuk responds with Champagne, but Razor put ND up for good with a 69-yard TD strike to Burgess again, 26-16 at halftime. Masuk got back within a score with another Champagne TD, but Antoine Davis in the 4th quarter iced it with a TD run. Notre Dame now a legit contender in Class SP and, you know, starting to get a lot of votes in the top 10 poll. That was impressive.
I'm stunned. Not stunned that they competed, but stunned by how dominant they were against Masuk. This was a Masuk team that we thought would be competing for a state title in their own class. Obviously, Klein got hurt. They lost to Bloomfield. They were better than Bloomfield in that game. This is just an absolute dominating win by Notre Dame-Fairfield. You can't do anything but tip your cap to Coach Johnson and the Lancers. And for them, it's just about staying healthy now the rest of the way. We know they're probably going to the playoffs. We know they're going to have a matchup with Bloomfield or Ansonia, Cromwell, Portland. Like, S is becoming really intriguing.
Yeah, no, I think it's really good. But Notre Dame 7-0, you know, mission statement. You know, like I said, yeah, even Coach Johnson afterward, just saying like this is exactly what they've been working toward all year. They kind of knew they were about this, and Well, here they are talking about the big one.
It's a special moment for our kids. They've worked extremely hard for that. We're a family, and they play for each other, and it's tough to beat a team like that, regardless of our roster sizes. It's tough to beat a team that trusts your coaching staff and then trusts each other and picks each other up when we make mistakes. As you can see, the way we started off the game is not the way we wanted to, but we kept fighting, and they finished tonight.
I mean, what does it feel to be 7-0 and just to continue this amazing streak?
I mean, believe it or not, my team is extremely focused right now. We're one game at a time, and we keep focusing on that. And I think we're going to do some special things this year.
Awesome.
This is a Notre Dame-Fairfield team that 2 years ago played Cromwell Portland its best game on the way to their Class S championship. Took a step back last year. I mean, this is still a really good team. Their only problem has always been getting into the playoffs because of their schedule. They don't have an easier schedule like some of the S schools do because they play in the SWC. So for them, getting in has always been the hardest part.
Right. Good job by John Johnson, who had for years had been the Bullard Havens coach. I think he did it just about as much as a guy could do at Bullard Havens. Got them into the state playoffs for several years there. And then, as is the case with the tech schools, when they get into the playoffs, it's a whole different ball game. So there's only so much you can do there. The Notre Dame job opens up. Not only that, but the AD job opens up. And John Johnson able to scoot in there. And he's got himself a team right now that, I still wish they played at McCarty Stadium on Saturday afternoons. I still wish they did that. But I get it. You have the great facilities at Sacred Heart up there. So great job by them. They're going to be in a dogfight. I love this. Now add them, I think, Pete, as you just mentioned, them to the Bloomfield and Ansonia in Class S. So look out, guys. There's a new team in town, at least for this year. So that was a fascinating score on a Friday night. But the big games, the ones that everyone else was looking at, were the two you went to. We kind of had a dilemma, Pete, this week. We decided, you know what? We've seen SEC games at least I was saying, we've seen SEC games every single week. It's a round robin. Tier 1 is a great league in and of itself. It's ridiculous when you look at it in the grand context of what they have to do to get in the state playoffs. That's a whole nother thing. But, every week it's going to be some game, something. So you give them that much. That's why it's one of the most competitive and greatest, leagues in the state. But you had so we said, Pete, you're going to go to West Haven, Newtown, see what Newtown's about. Can they hang with West Haven? If the answer is no, go back. We got to get you down there to see what the exciting conclusion at Shelton versus North Haven at Finn Stadium, just down the road. What happened?
Let me tell you this. I said on this show last week, it was either this show or the Pick'ems, that Newtown hadn't done anything to impress me at all. And let me tell you this. I don't care that they lost by 10. They are a really good team. They impressed me. I think I actually moved them up in my poll, but we can get to that. Yeah. But let me talk about this game. Newtown, I saw Newtown in the first half. They had the ball 4 times. Okay? Down the field, went for a field goal, missed it. Went down the field, scored. Went down the field, got stopped on 4th and 1. Inches from the goal line, got stopped, turned it over, and on their 4th drive, they went down. They threw a pick on the 5-yard line. Look, they moved the ball against West Haven. Problem is, West Haven also moves the ball. Cameron Kemp, 69-yard touchdown on a 3rd and long on their open drive. Armani Reed with a 55-yard touchdown catch from Nick Conlon, and then Kemp had a 23-yard touchdown. I mean, this is West Haven, who we know. This is the West Haven that makes big plays. And we talk about West Haven a lot on the show, so I don't want to focus too much on them. Great getting back in the winning ways. This is the most points that they've allowed all season, that defense. Right? And I think that's a big credit to Newtown. Cordova can play. J.J. Haddock is really good. I mean, he is really good. I don't want to put him in a level of like some of these Newtown greats that we've covered, but man, he can play. He is a bowling ball. Cordova's really good. Taylor, they got guys. West Haven's just got a little bit more guys, and when you punch them, they came back, and I think West Haven played with a little edge coming off of the loss last week. But Newtown, very, very, very impressive. If they get to the playoffs, I think they could beat a couple of teams.
And then moving down to you got out of there. They actually tried to make it a game though. Newtown. They almost
well, yeah, I left
attack.
at 20. I left at 20-7 after Newtown threw the interception. I looked at Mike Fornavile. I was like, I'm out of here, man. There's a minute and a half left. Like a minute and 11 left in the half. I was like, I'm going to get that. I look at my phone, like there's 6 minutes left in the Shelton-North Haven second quarter. I'm like, oh my God, I could make it for the beginning of the second half there at 0-0. So I run to my car, I get in. As I'm like leaving, I hear like cheers, like, oh, West Haven took a safety. Now I'm like, oh, should I really have left? But I get there, I'm walking in. I had to park all the way down. I mean, it was packed. Yeah. I had to park all the way down. I'm running up that like hill, you know, kind of to get in. I have to stop at the restroom. You know, it was a long drive. It's like a 25-minute drive. I run out to the field, and as I'm running out, it's the beginning of the third quarter. 0-0. Shelton's on the other side of the field. I'm like, oh, this is perfect timing. I'll get my camera out. I'll stay here. I'll shoot this drive. I'll get moving. No, David Dodgelico has completely different plans and takes it 83 yards right in front of me as I'm fumbling my camera out. And he points at me. He's like, Pete, bah. And I'm like sitting there and I've got my hands up like this. I'm like, if this is the only touchdown in this game, I'm just going to put a big black screen that says reporter missed 83-yard touchdown.
I think we might be able to pull that up on Huddle, by the way. I think we might be able to see that on Huddle.
Yeah. But man, he had a great day. We'll get to him a little bit. He scores on that 83-yarder. But then you know what? North Haven, not really phased. They get the ball to go right down the field, and they tie it up. So it went from no one could score in the first half to 7-7 here in the third quarter. Both teams obviously going back and forth, doing the SEC thing where they beat the crap out of each other for the majority of the game. And then Dodgelico again, 64-yard touchdown run. North Haven had chances late. The Shelton defense stepped up. Kanye Tinney with the interception to seal the game. I spoke to Dodgelico and Coach Mike DeFelice at the end. Before we get into that, Coach Stanko had a big shout out for you. I don't know if you want to throw that in there. I don't know if you saw it. He was very happy with you, Sean.
Kind of thing. How do you not let them overthink it?
Okay, hold on a second. Coach Stanko said SBP is the man, and I believe him.
Yeah, SBP! Come on, baby! Just for the record, I am 0-4 this year, whether I pick Shelton or pick against Shelton.
Sorry, man.
Nah, you're good.
All right. So,
not so happy with me.
I actually sent both of them a text message. Thanks for having my back. Last week I went on the North Haven. No one went for North Haven. I'm like, I'm doubling down. No North Haven this week. Go with Shelton.
So
beat off.
But I talked to them. They have 2 losses already, and for them this has been a playoff game. They've been playing playoff games since that second loss, and Dodgelico and Coach DeFelice talked about that.
You guys really can't lose another game with the schedule you guys have. How important was it to come out of here with a win for you guys?
We knew we were on the ropes. We knew we had to come out with a win. We had to keep our playoff hopes alive, and we came out. We executed. Hockey's played really well. Defense played really well, and we just did good. Overall, we played like savages.
What did the coach say to you guys at halftime? Obviously, it's 0-0. I don't think a lot of people thought it'd be 0-0 at halftime. To come out, you get that hole, and all of a sudden you're gone.
Yeah, we definitely got a wake-up call at halftime. Coach was on us. He got us in the right mentality. We came out here and executed.
Now with Shelton beating North Haven beating West Haven beating Shelton, and Cheshire with dates with North Haven and West Haven coming up in the next 2 weeks. I am so confused with the SEC because they just keep beating each other. And therefore, I have no idea where to vote any of them right now. What about you, Sean?
I'm sorry. I was just looking at the tape of Dodgelico waving at you. You can see it on Pete's face. So funny. Oh, I'm sorry. There it is. First of all, he's looking back at all the North Haven players like, you guys gonna catch up or what? And then you can just see her hands drop going, I don't know what to tell you. What was the question? I forget the question. What were we saying?
As the SEC Tier 1 continues to beat each other up, West Haven beat Shelton. Shelton beat North Haven. North Haven beat West Haven. it's starting to look like the Big 12 back in like '08 when
Oh, yeah.
Oklahoma, Texas, and Texas Tech all beat each other. They had to go to the tiebreaker for whoever go to the BCS Bowl. But
Yeah.
I have no idea how to make it. I mean, I tweeted it out Sunday. I said, this is going to ruin my day. I don't know where to vote the three of them.
You know, here's how I did it. I kind of said, like, look, everybody's beating everybody. So I kind of went with who the team I thought was like I just kind of went, I went 1 through 3, but I went West Haven, just generally speaking, then Shelton, and then North Haven. I know North Haven's going to be mad at that, but, you know, listen, I still have them in my top 10, so I don't know what, you know, I think it was like 4, 5, and 6. It's hard because they beat, what about, you know, at some point you got to stop doing the transitive property thing because it just doesn't work anymore at some point. You know, I mean, just teams improve across the season. You can get mad at me about they beat them just last week. I don't have to tell you. I think West Haven is just enormously talented. And I just kind of went with that. You got to go with something. You can't go North Haven, Shelton, West Haven, can you? I mean, I guess you could.
No.
But no, you can't. North Haven, West Haven, then Shelton? I don't know.
Well, again, also, West Haven only has 1 loss.
Right.
The others have 2. So I went West Haven at 4, Shelton at 5, North Haven at 6.
Right, yeah,
and I said this last time. Look, North Haven looked so good against West Haven. But if they can play that offense, if they can play the way that they did against West Haven, they would never lose a game. You know, they threw a lot of passes in the Shelton game. And Mike DeFelice joked about it. Our reporter, Dave Phillips, asked him how long he was preparing for it because they had the bye.
Yeah.
The answer was in 2 weeks.
You know, we've been working on it for probably the last 12 years. You know, we just little things here and there, you know, little techniques that we've gotten over the years. Our defensive staff did a great job. We had the bye week, so we had some extra time. You know, all the credit to them. Coach Stanko, our D coordinator, he lived, breathed, and ate the single wing for the last 2 weeks. So all the credit to our defensive guys. They did an awesome job.
So, Mike, being a little funny, but I think there's a lot of truth to that because it's such a hard offense to try and stop.
Well, that is the reason why I picked Shelton. I don't know. I just felt like they saw what happened last week. They were on a bye, right? They had to bye. Yep. They saw what happened last week, and they were determined, you know what, that's not going to be us. North Haven did what it does. It held the ball. I mean, it was 0-0. You know, and Shelton needed to break a few teams. I mean, listen, North Haven played great defense. You can't take that away either. It were great. There were 2 great calls. I mean, they sold it too, right? You know, Kinnick sold it. You could barely, you know, on the fake, you could see it. It was great calls. But Mike is right. You know, listen, they know what's coming. It's like West Haven. Listen, you know what's coming. But now Shelton definitely knew what's coming. Their kids weren't going to be surprised. West Haven might have been like, we know what's coming, but like, come on. You know what I mean? So I think they got a little surprised. And Shelton, on the other hand, was like, nah, not us. Still, though, North Haven, not still that bad. You know, let's talk about the top 10 because, again, once again, the voters made North Haven pay. Let's go through it, though. Number 10, Shelton slides back in after being out for all since week 5. We're in week 9 now. So for last month, we haven't seen Shelton. As we mentioned, Dodge Lisco 16 times, 176 yards, 2 touchdowns. You know, and that was this. So Shelton back in everyone's good graces. They need to keep winning, though, because Class L, not easy by any stretch. Number 9 is Bloomfield, rip past Lewis Mill, 54. Zip, stay unbeaten. Should be more of the same versus East Catholic this week. Number 8, Ansonia, rolled past Derby, 58-7. I think there was a spot there where it was Derby up 7-6 or 8-7, or it was something close. But no, that game certainly not going Derby's way. Tom Brockett gets his 200th career victory. You can count his losses, which I think there's just 15 or so on 3 hands. So congratulations to Tom Brockett. I mean, 200 wins and the amount of time that he's done it is just unbelievable. Number 7, Newtown. You mentioned them, stayed in the top 10. They did not, however, Pete, stay in the top 10 of the coaches poll, which is a little interesting with their first loss. But again, maybe they didn't play anybody. That's the big question. So anyway, they stay in the media poll. Number 7. Number 6, Staples. You know, in the guide last week, I mused that you had to kind of pick your poison with Staples. Either going to let Caleb Smith beat you with his arm or beat you with his feet. I guess Danbury didn't want him to beat them with his feet, so he beat him with his arm. He was 20 of 32 for 308 yards, 5 touchdowns. Nate Smith caught 10 passes for 138 yards and a touchdown. And Sam Petrosino, 2 touchdowns and an interception. Staples has won 6 straight since that opening loss to West Haven. Number 5 is New Canaan, beat up on Norwalk. Again, we won't see them until Darien on Thanksgiving, and maybe even longer than that, given the way Darien's been playing. Number 4, West Haven, climbs all the way back after beating Newtown. Nick Collins, 13 of 18, 344 yards and 5 touchdowns, making his play for first-team quarterback as well. Number 3 is Maloney. Dante Kelly, speaking of first-teamers, Dante Kelly, 5 passes caught, 83 yards, 2 touchdowns, ran for 2 more. He has 18 touchdowns on the season. They get Southington this week. More on that in a second. Number 2, Cheshire. Jeffrey Gonzalez has been doing basically all the dirty work for the Rams in this last month and change. Haven't seen a lot of Matt Jeffrey, but maybe they're saving him for this game coming up this week. They play North Haven on the road. Now Cheshire season rekindles after kind of a few weeks lying in the weeds. And then finally, number 1, Greenwich, which kind of took its time against St. Joseph. The Hogs played well. They hung around at their home field. They were only down 7-0 at the half, 16-0 before getting within 16-9. I got a field goal and a touchdown. But kind of like Newtown, they just had all kinds of trouble early in the red zone. It didn't really get things going. And the game was kind of late, and they were kind of trying to make things happen. You got a pick 6 by Jack Carroll with 2:34 left, and then Sebastian Parr with a sick one-handed interception there. And 23-9. I saw somebody say on one of our comments, Pete, that they don't think Greenwich is number 1. I'm like, okay, they beat St. Joe 23-9. That was a sick defensive performance. Well, what do you want from Greenwich? Number 1, they're undefeated, but who else? You're going to make Cheshire? I mean, you're going to compare them to Cheshire? Cheshire hasn't played anybody either.
Yeah, Cheshire's 7 wins. And again, let me preface this. Cheshire is a very good team. I was there against Shelton. Very impressed. Ridgefield 1-6. Glastonbury 3-4. Prep 1-6. Amity 0-6. Hamden 3-4. Notre Dame-West Haven 2-5. Who should be number? I'm trying to figure out who should be number 1 if not for Greenwich. Is it Ansonia? Because that's hysterical.
There aren't very many undefeated teams left, by the way.
No, and the majority of them are in like Class S.
Right.
I mean, there's 4 in Class S. There's 1 in M, Northwest United. They could be 1. What do you think? Yeah. Cheshire in double M. Naugatuck, they also have played no one. So maybe they could be number 1. And then in double L, you have Greenwich, who has like 2 or 3 ranked wins. But yeah, totally. Greenwich should not be number 1. You can clip that.
Yeah, no, I don't understand that. I don't know who else you guys want in there. They've done everything you've asked so far. They beat Maloney on the road. Yeah, they won by a field goal, but like that's what you want. You want your number 1 team to win games. I mean, granted, they didn't win. They finished 2 losses last year with number 1, but it's all about who you play. And it doesn't necessarily we're not doing style points, although that does help sometime when you're doing rankings. Style points, who beat this team better. But once you get down to the end of the season, it's all about who you beat and what you do. And then obviously you want to win a state championship. Right now, they're the team to beat. They're the team to beat, especially in Class Double L. But they're the team to beat. I don't know what else they want. I mean, again, we've looked at these other divisions, and there's maybe a chance you could see number 1 coming out of like a Cheshire division, Class Double M, or I don't know about Class L, but maybe an Double M.
I mean, look, how about this? If Cheshire wins out, they go 10-0. Right? They'll beat West Haven, North Haven, Southington. Maloney loses to Southington this week. And then Southington beats Greenwich in the double L playoffs. Then maybe Cheshire would be number 1. Oh, and then Cheshire would have to finish 13-0 and win double M.
So that's the top 10 poll. I mean, North Haven, again, our voters are just really, really
bad.
They are not forgiving.
It's bad. It's bad. Look, Newtown, after praising how great they are or how great they played, I don't vote them in my top 10. I didn't move them from 11 after they lost. I think they're a good team, but they're not better than North Haven. North Haven shouldn't be penalized for playing in a tough division. Now, granted, I am also of the mindset of I don't like the people who don't hold the forfeit loss against North Haven. It counts. Boo-hoo, it counts. Okay? So you can't say, oh, they're 5-1 on the field. Awesome. Doesn't mean anything. They are 5-2. That's how it works, right? but we shouldn't be holding again these losses that they're not better than Newt. They should be in here over Newtown. They should be in here over Bloomfield. They should be in here over Ansonia. Shelton, the fact that Shelton just got back in after 3 weeks away or whatever was criminal. They never left my top 6. My God, I don't get it. I really don't get it. And look, I don't think there's anyone who does better coverage in the state than we do. So we're giving everyone all the information.
I don't know, man. I don't know. I mean, again, like I think it was like Anthony Morello said last week, look, we don't care where we are during the season. We care where we are. Fair enough. So, but for entertainment purposes, man, that's frustrating.
Yeah, here's the thing. I think they do care.
Yeah, right. They do care because clearly we didn't hear about it. Somebody in our Instagram DMs are killing us about, right? Who are they killing us about?
They kill us about everyone.
Yeah, they're always like, you don't rank us. What's wrong with you guys?
Yeah, we don't cover every team enough.
But there is that constantly like, how can we not be ranked? What do you got? Some of our voters are just very strange. Some of our voters are very strange. Coaches poll, kind of like we always say, kind of votes more like us. You know, their rankings are more like the way I would vote.
Yeah,
right
but their rankings a little different too. I mean, the coaches thought so highly of Newtown; they had them at 5 last week, and then they just dropped them out. So did they have them at 5 just because they were undefeated? Because that's not how.
You know, yeah. Anyway, so let's go to my. I had a weird Friday night. Like I said, I sent you up to the double duty there, and hopefully it worked out. And I think it did. Newtown almost gave me a heart attack, but I decided to go up and check out some of the. You know, sometimes we get a little. We get kind of ripped for just staying here in our little comfort zone in the SEC. And granted, it's because they're all good teams. They all play each other round robin, and they're just the best teams in the state. You know, it's hard to disagree with that. And every week is somebody's playing somebody, and that's just the way it works in the SEC. It's a great job by them in doing that. It doesn't work statewide as far as playoffs go, but hey, you know who's counted. So I decided I was going to go make 2 stops. I was going to go to Manchester to see Manchester, which we don't know anything about Manchester. Year after year, we send out forms. Hey, guys, can you please send us back some stuff? Tell us some kids to look at. And then if you guys start playing well, we can start writing stories. You know, and for the most part, everybody gets back to us some way or another. We never hear anything back from Manchester Coach Roy Roberts. I don't know why. Maybe we're pretty sure we have the right email. We've called, we write, we ask. So, you know,
we've called superintendents. We've called athletic directors.
For whatever reason, he does not respond to us. So it's up to us to go find out what they're about, especially if they go into a game 4-1. And in the Class Double L picture, that is very good. You know, they're in Class Double L. They're playing Berlin, a team that was coming off a big comeback win over Enfield the night before. I showed up there, and let me tell you, man, the first thing I notice about Manchester is they got some big dudes on that team, starting with their quarterback, Emmanuel Sample, just a big junior, nice-looking kid. The lines are big. They got some dudes at this team, and already I'm impressed. And, you know, Berlin a little bit undersized there, but Berlin outplayed them in the first half, going up 7-0 on a Toby Lavender run, and then 14-6 while I was there. Berlin had a chance to make it a 2-score game, but took a bad unsportsmanlike conduct penalty, and then C.J. Riccitelli gets sacked twice. First by Julian Ortiz, and then, remember this name, Joshua Kwarteng, who, this massive 6'4", 235 kid, defensive lineman, playing havoc with their offensive line all day, slides into the backfield, and then strips the ball from Riccitelli's hands on the windup, hauls it in, takes it all the way back into the 30-yard line. Just a few plays later, Sample throws the tying touchdown and 2-point conversion passes to Blake Jordan to make it 14-14 at halftime. Right there, it was a 14-point swing. Berlin could have been up 21-6. Instead, it's tied 14-14 at halftime. Second half, 21-21. Manchester scores to go up for good with 2:42 left. Julian Henderson, a 27-21 victory, 5-1 now, and in great shape in the Class Double-L standings. Emmanuel Sample threw for 242 yards, 2 touchdowns, and had a rushing TD, although he was looking at the wrong camera there. I don't know what to tell you, man. When the GameTimeCT cameras show up, you gotta give us the love. But he's looking at the wrong camera on the celly. Oh, well, no big deal. Still a great effort by them. Jaden Kennedy caught a TD pass. I mean, I left at the game 14-14, thinking like, I think Berlin's playing better, but either way, I've got some footage here. And Manchester, I know they had a big win over McMahon early, but we were looking for kind of like that big win. Right now, they kind of signal that they are a team to watch in the Class LL playoff race at 5-1. They play Windsor, though, this week, and Windsor just hammering Enfield to no end. So, that's going to be a massive, what do you got type of a game for Manchester. I don't know. I've seen Windsor, and I don't see many teams being Windsor, but this team's Pete's pretty good. They're pretty big up front, and I love this Quartank kid, man. 6'4", 230, 30-something yards. I mean, he's a good-looking player for the what are they, the Red Hawks now? Yeah, the Red Hawks.
Yeah. Well, this is nice. This is what, 18, 19, 21, 22, 23, 5 years that I've been at Game Time for Football. Well, back at Game Time for Football, and this is our second Manchester reference ever on the show. So that's awesome.
What was the first? Oh, the quarterback a couple years ago.
Yeah, Parker.
That's right. What was this? Elijah Parker?
Adrian.
Right?
Adrian Parker.
Nope. Adrian Parker.
Yeah. Just please respond to our emails. We want to highlight everyone. Just respond to our emails, please. Don't make me.
I'm glad I went. I mean, we need to go see him. That's the thing. I mean, if they weren't winning, I'm not going to see this guy. So yeah. Anyway, that's a win by them. Berlin's still okay. So then I hit the road. I jumped on and I went to
just 30 minutes down Route 6 over to Windham High School
for a big ECC Division II game. Windham in the top of the Class SS standings, and Stonington undefeated, having a dream season, their best season in over 20 years. And I get to Ferrigno Field, Pete. They're still doing a lot of construction there. It's still kind of a mess, but the field is immaculate. It's gorgeous. You can eat off it. And the lights there, you need sunglasses. It's the most well-lit field I've ever seen in high school football. They're low and they're bright, and you can't miss a thing. Again, they're playing almost all their games there this year because they played all their games on the road while it was being built last year. But, I wanted to see what they were about. I wanted to see what Stonington was about because it's not very often we get to go out in Stonington. I get there, and it's 7-6 Stonington, and right from the jump, right when I get there, Francisco Alvarado, the Windham freshman quarterback, add him to the list. How many freshman quarterbacks we have playing this year in varsity football? But add him to the list. He hits a nice play to Deshaun Chapman on a little fake 26-yard touchdown to go up 12-7. But Stonington, and I was told by Mike tomorrow the day in Atlanta, this kid, Patrick McGugan, nice DN / tight end. He catches his gorgeous-looking 40-yard touchdown pass from Jalen Carter to put Stonington up 13-12 at halftime. But Windham's defense, and you remember this guy, Pete, our guy Malachi Fowler, and the defense answered the call. They had forced 3 turnovers in the second half and held Stonington under 50 total yards. Fowler with a big podcast watcher, by the way, Pete. He's a huge fan. Shout out to Fowler for watching. Thanks for watching, brother. He has a big pickoff that sets up the winning drive. 12 plays, 56 yards. They go up 20-13 on J.C. Diaz's 4-yard run and the 2-point conversion to Alvarado to Jenkins with just under 8 minutes left. Stonington tried a fake punt, didn't get it. Windham ran the clock down, tried to get a field goal, and it's blocked. And then nobody on Stonington knows this is a live ball, went backward. That could pick that up and score, man. But they finally jump on it, and that was one of those things that A.J. Massengale, their head coach, was just like, he had no answers for it. He goes, we should know that. We should do a better job doing this. But they do have the one more chance. We got a minute and change left. But on the first play, Jalen Carter loses the ball. It's jumped on by Yadiel De Jesus. He picks it up. You can see our guy Fowler all fired up. And Windham, Pete, gets out of there, knocks off Stonington's its first loss of the season. They are now 6-1. 20-13, Windham now with a big-time statement win, and they were all fired up, especially with Coach Randall. Pros out. He was out sick, put in the game plan, and Cisco Diaz, the assistant, was the guy doing the honors in post-game, and he's here to say what Windham's been screaming about all season long. Everybody remembers about all the guys we lost, but don't forget about all the guys we have back.
So we knew we were going to be a dogfight. They got a good programmer. They came in undefeated. But we also know that we got something special, too, coming on over here. Everybody talks a lot about what we lost, but they never talk about what we have. Just keep sleeping on us, man. We'll keep going up on the rankings, and people can keep sleeping on us.
Coach Pros, this win was for Coach Pros. He was feeling ill all week. He really battled through the week, and he couldn't come last minute. It was really sad, but we did it for him. We was on a FaceTime call with him right after we won, so it's a beautiful feeling. It's a beautiful feeling to do it for coaches and all of it. We like to demonstrate ourselves. We call ourselves the His Squad, and His Squad lets up 13 points a game, and that's what we did today. 2013. It's a great feeling. It's a great feeling.
A lot of guys, including us, talk about all the guys you lost. I know we had you, and the coach said, well, don't forget about the guys we got. And who do you got? Like who keep today for you guys?
JC Diaz, number 30. He's a dog. He's been a dog since forever. He keeps working in practice. Can't stop, won't stop. Justice Black is a dog. Tyrone, Mackenzie, all of them. It's Cisco Alvarado. He's a freshman coming in. He's balling out. A really good player.
You missed an opportunity last year, don't you?
Yeah, we missed a great opportunity. We should be back-to-back ECC champs. And we tell these kids we do it for the seniors last year. And we all know each other. We know the seniors from last year. So we really do it for them young kids. The young kids buy into it and they love it. It's a great program they're building here.
Then you heard a little bit there from our guy, Malachi Fowler, and they are fired up. That was a big statement win. After last year, if you recall, they had a dream season. They lost their division game. They lost to, I think it was it Killingly? One of those games. Oh, no, it was, who was they lost to? No, they beat Killingly, but they lost to like Griswold, right? Who'd they lose to?
I don't know who they lost to. They were 9-1. Was it?
No, it was Ledyard. So they lost to Ledyard. That knocked them out of their ECC division championship. Now the divisions are 1 and 2 this year. There were 3 last year. I think they were in Division 2, and they lost to Ledyard, and they didn't get that title. And then they go to the state playoffs, and Gilbert G&H just showed them the door, and they were all sick apparently.
They all had the flu. They all had the flu.
And that great class of seniors and all those dudes, they kind of fizzle out. They were 9-1, but kind of fizzled out. But Fowler and those guys are all about atoning for that and maybe winning for the seniors from last year as well as the guys from this year. So good job by them. So that was I will say I'm glad Windham is excited, and I'm glad that they're Malachi Fowler, obviously a huge friend of the program. And I'm happy that the assistant coach is saying, but they forgot to talk about the guys who were here. No coach ever writes that in their preview. Hey, we lost 20 guys, but we're going to be better. Yeah. So, say it then. Just say it. Hey, we lost 20 guys, but we're still going to be pretty damn good. Don't talk smack 6 games into the season. Come on, man. Tell me before the season. I'm reading the preview that I wrote where, they're hey, we got a lot of stuff to replace. You only got 6 guys back. Yeah. If you're confident, tell me. Yeah. No coach wants to put it on the books early that they think No, but they don't. They don't want to. I don't blame them. Well, how many times have guys been burned? Off the top of my head, and they've done well since. But Hampden Hall, Joe Linton is the best team he ever had. They lose game 1. Granted, to a pretty good Long Island Lutheran team, but and they've come on since, and they're. But that depends on recruiting class and stuff. You don't know how they're going to adapt. But Randall Bennett saying, well, he's usually pretty good, but there's some other guys. He nailed it. He's the best line. I got it. Best defense in the state. No. I got it. Who it was? Middletown. Who was that? Morello? Yes, Morello. I think 2 years ago was we're going to be pretty good, and they were not. They lost their first 6 games or something crazy like that. Came on better at the end of the year. It was his last season, if I recall correctly. Yeah, and then he's now given away. That was 2 years ago. They that's funny. So look, you don't want to get burned, and you want to be confident. Hey, I think we could be pretty good. I don't mind that, especially you've lost a lot of guys. But hey, listen, that's a good job by Windham, and Stonington. I think you won't find a bigger supporter of the Whippets than you and I. Oh yeah. Not only are they a great looking program, they got a great field. They got a great name. One of the all-time great names. Whippets? The Whippets? Whippets is all-time. They got Malachi Fowler. We love Malachi Fowler. Who said afterward was saying, he might be looking to, maybe doing some wrestling in college rather than football. Yeah, we'll see. I think he's only a junior, so we got a year and a half left of him playing football. Oh, God, is that right? I thought he was a
junior.
senior. Wow.
No, he was all-state honorable mention for us.
Oh, look at that.
Unless our preview's wrong, but I'm pretty confident he was a sophomore last year.
Malachi Fowler is only a junior. Oh, my goodness. Look out, ECC. This kid's not going anywhere. Oh, man. Anyway, that was great to see them. I would love to get out to more games like that. Sometimes we have to extricate ourselves from the, the rough and tumble, and highly entertaining, I must say, SEC Tier 1 battles, and maybe even your odd FCIAC battles or SWC battles. We just don't get up there as much. We'll try. But anyway, so there you go.
I remember the ECC having more Saturday games.
Yeah. No,
I mean, I went up to New London once. We went up to Ledyard. We make the trips on Saturday. It's a lot easier to make a trip on a Saturday afternoon at 1:00 to Ledyard or Waterford or Windham than it is on a Friday night.
Yeah. If you want people to come to your game and you're good, definitely schedule, especially if you're out in the middle of nowhere, schedule it for Saturday. Then maybe we'll go. I don't think that's going to fly. I don't think that's why teams are going to schedule games. But if you really want to, that's the way it works. Thursday nights are a good time. Saturday nights, not Saturday nights, Saturday afternoons, perfect.
Everyone says, "Oh, Greenwich, so much coverage." Greenwich plays like 7 games on Saturday.
That's true.
I mean, St. Joe's. St. Joe's. When St. Joe's is good, we're there every Saturday. They have a home game.
Yeah.
Why? What else are we doing on Saturday? They don't have to fight for coverage on Friday nights.
And one of the other big results that came out of this weekend, Pete, was Wilton finally, at last, beating Darien by the score of 24-10. A great win. They needed it because it was going to be curtains for them in Class MM, and they needed to beat Darien for the first time in what? Well, I got to look at it here. For the first time since 2007, like 13 tries, a big victory by the Warriors. Joey Haggerty threw 3 touchdown passes, and the defense only held Darien to 10 points. Wilton had come in. They lost to Staples in a close game, and they lost to New Canaan in overtime. And E.J. D'Annunzio was like, one of these games, man, we got to win. One of these games. And afterwards, he was all fired up, not just for himself, but for all the coaches who came before him.
There's Zioli, there's Cunningham, there's Egan, and then me, right? I talked to Coach Egan today in school. I'm like, Coach, we got to win one of these. We're there. We're here. Just can't get over the hump. So tonight was another great football game. They're a great football team. My kids again showed what their grit and tough team. Listen, every coach can tell you they love their kids, right? I love this bunch. Great bunch of kids.
Now, EJ is one of the best. We've had him on the show. He was joking with me before the New Canaan game. He's like, "Why do I only see you when we play New Canaan or when we play Staples or when we play Darien?" He's like, "Can you just cover like a game, like a win?" So I was glad that we were there. But I mean, come on, remember they had these great wins back in 2021. Yeah, EJ is in his 5th season. They've been to the playoffs 3 times, twice.
Yeah, great job.
2 or 3 times.
I mean, granted, it's a different dynamic.
Yes, it's a different thing to make the playoffs for sure. But Darien beat for the first time since 2007. He broke the Ridgefield streak that dated back to 1993.
Oh, yeah.
And he broke the New Canaan streak that went back to 1995.
Yeah.
I mean, if this was college football and Michigan hadn't beaten Ohio State in 13 years, he'd get a 10-year extension.
You hear that, Coach?
I mean, just just a big shout out to him and his coaching staff, and to beat one of these records or to snap what one of these was very important. He's done 3. I wanted to look to see what the next one is. Like, who haven't they beaten in a long time? But no, it's an impressive job. Just quickly. So not only that, I pulled up Wilton's, what's it called? So they beat Staples in 2019. EJ was there in 2019.
Yeah.
They beat Staples for the first time in 9 tries. That dated back pre-2004. And then the one on the list is St. Joe's. They haven't beaten St. Joe's since 2011. That's pretty impressive.
Cole Stevenson caught 2 touchdown passes and finished with 7 catches on 107 yards. He was also part of a secondary that locked down the Waves passing game and held those two twin towers in check. The 30-yard touchdown pass basically iced it in the fourth quarter of Wilton, 24-10. So shout out EJ and the guys there. That was an amazing win. And now they kind of get themselves back into the playoff picture. Speaking of which, Pete, let's run it down for you. It gets a little tighter every week. I'm going to show you all the teams this week, but as we get into November, I'm going to start pulling teams out as we go along. Where do you want to start with the rankings? Do you want to go bottom up or top down?
I think we go bottom up. Right. I think we're going to get more frustrated as we go, so we can just take our anger out on Double L.
All right. Well, you said Class S is probably looking like really interesting, especially with Notre Dame-Fairfield signaling its arrival here. So let's take a look at it. Number 1 is Bloomfield. They've only got 6 wins to date. They do they finish with 9? They only have 9.
Yeah, they played 9 games.
Wow, every game is just a little bit more important to them as far as averages go. Number 2 is Oxford, which our guy McGuire, man, and it was a tough game against Crosby, 22-20. But when they needed him most, he keeps the Wolverines undefeated. Big time effort there. Absolutely just adore that kid. 7-0 for Coach Stocks and the Wolverines. Number 3 is Ansonia, the team they're going to see in just 2 short weeks. So get ready. Get your tickets now. Number 4 is Notre Dame-Fairfield, which, again, didn't have a lot of wins. They had Waterford, 1 win. Weston, only 2. Lewis Mills, 0. New Fairfield wasn't great. Brookfield was their best win, and then Barlow. Now they amped up. Now they got Masuk. So the rest of the way, though, for Notre Dame-Fairfield, Bunnell coming off a big win over Brookfield, then Stratford, and then they got to finish with Pomprog. I like them in those games, man. You could see them finish with an undefeated record. Then you have 5, Cromwell, Portland. They get Granby-Canton this week. Pretty big game. Number 6, Griswold Wheeler. They play Stonington. I kind of forgot to mention that. Stonington lost their chance to take first place in that ECC Division II game versus Windham. Now they got to play Stonington. Not only, maybe to stay in that ECC 2 race, but more importantly, they got to stay in the race for Class S. Griswold's above them now. They're at number 7. And they also got to finish with Ledyard and then Westerly, which I don't know anything about Westerly. I would imagine they would be better than them, but Ledyard's no slouch. They're not the team they were last year. But that's a big game for Stonington right now to have destiny in their hands to beat Griswold Wheeler. And then number 8 is North Branford, which, Pete, we'll talk about it in the shoutouts, but lost to a team that hadn't had a win. Valley Regional O-line beats the T-Birds 10-6 to knock them off. That really knocked them back. Not quite out of the running yet, but then you have Woodland, Morgan, Capital Prep, Seymour. The rest of those teams below the 8 line, I don't know. Tough call, but I don't know. What do you think so far? How's this shaping up?
I'm excited for the semifinals of S once we get there. If the top 4 teams are, maybe Cromwell, Portland gets in there. I like the top 5 teams here. Bloomfield's great. Ansonia's great. Notre Dame-Fairfield's great. Cromwell, Portland's great. Oxford is a great story. Obviously, we're going to see where they line up when they play Ansonia in 2 short weeks, like you said. But, man, you give me a semifinal that has Bloomfield, Ansonia, Cromwell, Portland, and Notre Dame-Fairfield. Even if Oxford gets in there, I'm about that. Matt McGuire, for me, is one of those kids that you want to watch play. So if Oxford, wins a game and gets to the semis, I'm all about that. I'm excited for the Class S playoffs once we get to the semifinals. They
look really good. So that would be the Division 1 in Class S, so to speak. The Division 2, you look at the double S rankings, gets a little sketchy. Windham, right now, good-looking team. Windham 5-1. They got New London, Weaver, New Fairfield, Montville left. I think they should be great or good in all those. They have the makeup versus New Fairfield. You remember that game. Then Granby-Canton fighting for a spot. Coggin-Chog, Tolland, Sheehan, which beat Amity, kind of back after losing that game last week to Brantford. We're like, oh, my God, how are they going to make it? The way this is shaping out, look at G&H beat Seymour. They're 3-4 at number 6. Ellington 3-3. Watertown. I think Sheehan's going to be okay. Granted, they got Law, they got Hand left, but they can beat Lyman Hall and Law. I think they're going to be in great shape. Maybe if they lose the Hand, I think they're going to be in great shape. So, listen, I still think this is Sheehan's division to win unless Granby Canton decides to show up. Who knows? We'll see. That is the double S. Let's move to Class M. which, as we mentioned at the top, it's kind of the Hand Invitational. The Hand, we forgot all about. In a game against Brantford, they smoked them 40-0. The Tigers just absolutely showing that they do not belong in SEC Tier 2 anymore, or Class M, if we're really being honest. But hey, right now they're number 3 in Class M rankings. Northwest United sitting there at 7-0. Rockville 5-1, back on their winning ways after last week. SMSA, a team we got to look out for. They got Valley this week. They got Windsor Locks, and they got Granby to finish up. I like their chances here. ATI 5-1, another interesting team because they play in the CTC. Cheney, BGW Techs, Bullard Havens, and Northwest United to end the season. So they've got their season's still ahead of them. Holy Cross at 6, 5-2. Watertown, G&H, and Woolkit left. I think they'll be okay. Berlin drops all the way to 7 after losing to Manchester. They got Newington, Windsor, and then Middletown. So they're not out of the woods yet. Bullard Havens, Lyman Hall, East Lyme. St. Joseph, after that loss, is all the way down here now at number 11, with a chance to move up though, if they can beat Staples and or Trumbull. The way that defense played against Greenwich, Pete, who knows?
Yeah, St. Joe's, I think a lot of their success is going to be, the second half of the season is going to be on the experience that the younger players have gotten. H.T. Jones has played really well at quarterback for them. He is still a freshman. He's one of the many freshman quarterbacks that are playing. But if he can continue to get better, they got Danbury, St. Joe's, they got Danbury, they got Staples, and they got Trumbull. 6-4 at worst. At best, 6-4 at best.
Probably, yeah.
I think they can get in at 6-4.
Yeah, I think so. There are enough teams here that are probably going to lose ahead of them. For example, Lyman Hall will go a long way if it beat Holland this week. They should be saving. Then they got Sheen at the end of the year. If they lose one more, man, that's going to put them at 4 losses. That's going to be tough. But St. Joe will get over them, I would think, with 4 losses. Bullard Haven. St. Joe always seems to be in the same spot. They got to compete with the Bullard Haven, ATIs, and they play in the
and they're competing for a spot in M with 3 games against double L teams the rest of the way.
Yeah,
make it make sense.
Anyway, so I still think if one of those teams gets in, look out. I think Hand's going to get in. I called Hand as the state champion at the beginning of the year. Sorry, guys, I haven't changed my mind. Moving to Double M now. Here's where it really gets fun. Okay, number 1 is Cheshire. We've mentioned this a billion times. Their season begins now. North Haven, then West Haven, then Southington to end the season. We'll see whether Cheshire can finish maybe undefeated or maybe 9-1, 8-2. At worst, could finish 7-3, which would put them in the danger zone a little bit in Class Double M. Platt with a big win. Your boy, Jason Bruin, with a big win over South Windsor. I can't believe I actually said those words. South Windsor's been playing well. They came on late to win that game, 6-1. Not the greatest schedule in the world because I guess they're in CCC Tier 3. But listen, still, they're in good shape. Windsor, they got Manchester, Berlin, Bloomfield, a massive amount of points, and they're probably favored in most of those games, Windsor, if I'm being honest. Maybe not Bloomfield. That's a great game at the end of the year. We'll see. Wilton back in it, as we mentioned. McMahon, Ludlow, and Shelton. That's tough. Ludlow and Shelton especially. McMahon kind of faltering a little bit here. Then Fitch at 5. Woodstock, East Lyme, and Ledyard left. North Haven has fallen back, but now got Cheshire, Hampden, and Amity. I think let's take the Cheshire game out of there. If North Haven can take care of business and beat Hampden and Amity, I think they'll be in a good spot. Masuk has fallen down to 7. Xavier, only 6-1. 6-1, which is pretty good. Only 1 loss to Hand. They got Prep, Shelton, and Wilbercross a chance to really make a move here. But another loss just shows you, because their schedule, the teams they beat, haven't been great. So Xavier with a chance to make some moves up. Guilford still hanging around, a same deal. Because they play in SEC Tier 3, the teams in the division are just not good, and they're not giving them the points. Guilford's trying to get into the state playoffs for the first time ever, and this is the road they're going to face. East Lyme, Amity, and Hand. We know East Lyme is certainly a team they could beat. Amity is the team they should beat. Who knows, though? And then Hand, a team they absolutely probably must beat. And they haven't beaten Hand since Scott Benoit was there what, 15, almost 20 years ago. Crazy. But now another team, Pomprog. It's a tough division. Look at this. Bristol East and even Thames River way down there. Yeah, I don't envy anybody in Class AA.
No, that one's going to be interesting too. I think all the first round games, depending on who gets in or whatever, I think it's going to be a great show. I mean, you look at Benell at 10, you know, if they could beat Notre Dame-Fairfield, they could beat Newtown. Points. You know, teams with 7-6 wins, like that's going to be great. I was going to say you feel bad for Xavier and Guilford, but I really don't. Should get rewarded for playing a schedule like that. I mean, look, say what you want about Platt's schedule. Platt's schedule is not great. They at least played Wilton.
Yeah,
Wilton's they got team. And they get Maloney. Those are two better teams on the schedules than what Xavier and Guilford have had.
Here's where
I think they're both better than Hampden.
It's out of their hands. So
yeah,
their crossover games, right? Did Xavier even get? So Xavier's has been struggling recently, right? So their alliance games, right, is Fairfield Ward, which is one of their first games this week. That's not helping. So the alliance, because it's set up to help teams that are struggling, now they start doing well, and then you put them in tier 2, where all right, it's a little easier. They're playing Shelton and Cheshire and West Haven. I think it'd be a little bit of a different story for Xavier right now. So I think they're fine where they are right now. They're fighting for a spot in Double M, granted, right? But you look at it, they only get Ward, you know, and sure, their best win to date, if you look at it, is Brantford and Sheehan, both with four wins each. You know, 4 wins, 3 losses. So, you know, Fairfield Prep isn't going to help them much either, too. But at least they're a double L. That'll help them a little bit.
They have to beat Fairfield Prep.
Yeah. Yeah. So, look, it's not really there. Like, that's just the way the SEC, the Carbone SEC has done it. They try to help you out. But when the flip side of that coin is you get it put into an SEC Tier 2 schedule, you better start winning all your games. All of them. Not just, you know, the ones that you can. So they're in a tough spot. Guilford in SEC Tier 3, that's another thing. So, again, another call for balanced schedules, please, going forward. Going to Class L, another tough one. You know, Naugatuck 7-0. Like you mentioned this, they don't play a ton of teams, but the ones that they did play, they've done pretty well with. Their season will come down to Ansonia. They're going to be pretty much in. New Canaan, they're going to be in. Newtown, I'm looking at it. Pomprog, Benell, and Masuk. Relatively tough, but I think they're going to be favored in all 3 of those games to finish up. You know, even if I think they lose one of them, they're going to be in okay shape. Number 4 is Maloney, obviously with a huge game against Southington, which will kind of dictate where their fortunes lie and whether they need to beat Platt toward the end of the year or not. You beat Southington, I think you can basically put the Spartans in. Number 5 is Darien, still hanging around in Class L, even though they have the 2 losses to Greenwich and Wilton. They've got Ward, Central, and New Canaan left. Do they need to beat New Canaan at the end of the year is the big question, and it really is going to depend on what happens to the rest of these teams. If Shelton, which has kind of crept back up finally with beating North Haven, if Shelton falters somehow, maybe it loses to Xavier, maybe it loses to Wilton, that'll help. You have South Windsor, which has got Enfield at the end of the year. I don't think South Windsor is where they're looking for. They're looking for New Milford, maybe losing to Masuk. Hall, which is kind of fallen off a bit. Hall's got a great win over Southington, but really, that's about it. And Southington's not typical Southington, helping them out with a few more points. They don't have very many teams left. They had East Harvard, Simsbury, and Conard. Not going to get a lot of points. They're going to need to win that and help. Ludlow with a big win over McMahon, last second touchdown pass, and yet they are at number 10, still clawing in there. They're looking for their first playoff berth. They got Wilton left. That's tough. And then you go all the way down to Killingly. Soren Reeve had a big week this week, but it might be too late for Killingly. They got Ledger, New London, and Woodstock Academy, all winnable games, but they're going to need some outside help. Enfield's kind of faltering a bit here. They still got points out on the table too. So I don't know. L is good, not as close to the race maybe as Class Double M though. Sure.
Yeah, it's like organized chaos there. Just a bunch of potential 7-3, 6-4 teams at the bottom. But I like the top of it. You know, I think New Canaan, Newtown, Maloney, Shelton. are 4 pretty good teams. Naugatuck, we'll see what they're made of on Thanksgiving. But even the years they win on Thanksgiving, they have lost in the first round. So I love Jed Hall, though. He's a guy, So remember, depending on who they get in the first round, they might be able to win a game.
They'd love to have New Canaan on the other side of the bracket.
Oh, yeah.
They almost beat New Canaan last year. I don't say
I'm sure they would. Don't let the score fool you. That was a lot of New Canaan games last year. It's like, the defense held strong, the offense not so great. But, Naugatuck, if I'm Naugatuck, I want to be on the other side of the bracket of New Canaan, of Maloney, and of Shelton. Yeah. That's at all possible.
Good luck. So, anyway, and then moving into the Super Bowl. Class double L is number 1 Greenwich, number 2 West Haven, number 3 Staples, maybe number 4 Manchester, number 5 Southington, but, a little iffy. And then after that, chaos. Glastonbury 3 and 4 is at number 6. Number 7 is Stamford. Stanford came off a pretty solid win over Trumbull. I know Trumbull is not the team that we thought they were going to be, but that's still a pretty big step there for Stanford, even though Trumbull's really not helping out. They're number 7 at 4 and 3. But then you have Hamden, which just got beat by Fairfield Prep for Fairfield Prep's first win. They're 3 and 4, still hanging on to a state playoff berth ahead of McMahon at 4 and 3, East Hartford at 3 and 4, and then aforementioned Trumbull before you start getting into the Waterbury schools and Danbury at the end there. It's basically, Pete, if you really want me to be honest, a 3-team race, maybe if 3 or 4-team race right now in that Class double-L, and the rest is just...
I was laughing, I'm looking at it. Greenwich can lose out and probably still clinch a home game.
I think they've clinched already. If you want to be my honest opinion, I'm not going to do the math, Pete. I think Greenwich has clinched the state playoff berth. Somebody with a lot more time in their hands can work that out. It's pretty close, though, if it's not already. They're going.
They're definitely going anyway. But it's just hysterical that if they go 7 and 3 and lose to West Hill, Ridgefield, and Staples, that they'll finish with a better record than the team that's currently sitting at 6th. As of now, going into week 9, the number 1 team could lose out and still finish with a better record than the team that is sitting in 6th place.
Look,
what's the point? I was talking to an assistant coach over the weekend, and I'm going to Maloney Southington this weekend. He's like, "You excited?" I'm like, "Yeah, it's always a great game when the two of them play." But they're both probably going to the playoffs anyway, so does the game really mean that much?
Yeah. That's the 6. We don't need 6 playoff divisions. We don't. And even if there are proposals out there that we're going to make fundamental changes to the way we do state playoffs in Connecticut, you still don't need 6 playoff divisions unless 2 of them are like tech and co-op divisions. I actually have an idea for 6 playoff divisions. I'll save that for another day. But I actually have a decent idea where, all right, you want to do 6? How about you do this? You go 3 playoff divisions, and then you have them, right? So you have a double L, not a double L, you have an L, M, and S, and then those are Division 1, and then the bottom ones are Division 2. And if you win the state championship of Division 2 double L, then you get moved up the next year, and then you have to stay there for like 5 years or whatever, the way the records pull out. I don't know. What do you think of that? If that'd be the only way I would say you have 6 divisions. That's it. It's not bad.
I think that sounds awesome. That sounds like soccer relegation.
Yeah.
But
it would get, because a lot of these double L schools, let's be honest here, a lot of these double L schools are programs that don't have the resources of Greenwich. Or they have
there's not a lot of schools in the state that have the resources that Greenwich has.
Granted. But a lot of them are, struggling city programs. East Hartford, Kennedy, Crosby, it's struggling, but they just don't have West, maybe even West. It's hard to.
Well, the biggest mistake of this system, and I said it, I think, numerous times, is going by size and assuming that they're all equal. And that's what this system does. This system looks and says, if you have more than X amount of kids, you are all the same. That's what the system does. And it's broken. And no one will want to admit it. No one wants to admit it in the state. Even the ones who have all the extra funding and the extra equipment. They don't want to admit it. They donate the equipment to the schools that need it every couple of years, get a bunch of, new stuff, and then go beat them by 50, and they think that they're good. Like, it's not fair. It's not equal. But when you look and you say double L, they're not the same. Let's stop pretending that they are.
Well,
it's not fair to those schools.
Well, that's why I would suggest you have a D1 versus D2, maybe, because that way you're at least giving some teams, you don't, instead of getting their heads kicked in, you at least let them work their way. I mean, that's kind of like what they're doing in the leagues now, but they don't do it at the state level, so it doesn't matter what they're doing at the league. It's just anyway. We do whole shows about this. I have my ideas, though. I have my ideas how to do this, but like 6 divisions just writ large, just as on its front, is ridiculous. You want to do 5 the way we're doing it now? Do it 5 with 1 co-op division and techs. Like there's 30 of them. You can have a division like that. It's great, and then put everybody else in. Or I don't know what to do with the Catholics anymore, because it's almost like the Catholic schools aren't nearly as dominant as they used to be. There maybe are other reasons for that, but it's very interesting. Like St. Joe, nobody's scared of St. Joe right? Or
I
Xavier.
don't think anyone's scared of any of the Catholic schools.
No, exactly. That's what I'm saying. St. Paul's falling off.
I think whoever's on was St. Paul ever up to fall off?
Yeah. What's his name? Byron Jones played for them. Remember?
Yeah, I know. But so did the quarterback who threw all the touchdowns and broke the record and never played in the playoffs. Yeah, he never played in the playoffs.
Yeah. So. They would have now, but
Winston.
Anyway, that's the he's out coaching somewhere, right? Where is he?
He was at Sacred Heart when I was a student there. When I was a grad student there. So I think he is coaching though.
So that is our, look at the playoffs. Again, we're not doing a guest this week, so we're going to move right into our shout-outs. Before we get into all the shout-outs, I do want to give a shout-out, a preemptive shout-out for one we didn't do last week, to our guy, Craig Bruno, who's dealing with some health issues. Didn't really want to get into it, but he's been kind of taking a leave of absence from Amity. Our guy, George French, has been in charge of the Spartans the rest of the year. So former Derby coach, you remember, he's been helping Craig out since he left there. And, TBA and whether Craig will be able to come back anytime soon. But we just want to send our love to the 2-time state champion. We love Craig. He's, especially me, I've had a long history with him, and I think he's great. And just best wishes to him and his family. So that's the beginning of the shout-outs there, Pete. Why don't we start out with you going? We'll just kind of – it was an interesting week here and a good one for shout-outs, because there are a lot of teams that we're probably not going to be able to shout out again.
Yeah, a lot of teams won their first game this week, which was great. We love that. I'm going to go off the board that we talked about, because I was doing a little research during the show, and I found another one from Weaver, Josh Rivera. He scored both touchdowns for Weaver in the second half, and according to the Hartford Courant, I'm going to give a shout out to Lori Riley. She had it. He had 3 interceptions in Weaver's win 20-19 over Montville, Weaver's first win of the season. So shout out to Rivera. Shout out to Coach Theo Harrison for his first career win.
Yeah, that is the second year in a row they've beaten Montville. And Montville has been better this year. They've been a lot better. They won a few. They actually had 2 wins going in. So that's interesting. Good. Hey, by the way, speaking of Lori, you want to see Lori dance? She was dancing on the sidelines of the Manchester game, and I got a video.
Lori always videotapes me dancing at games. Usually,
well, now we just got her back. There she is doing a little.
There it is.
We love Lori. Okay,
Lori's the best.
Pete, where do I start off with the shout-outs then? Why don't I start off with we were just talking about him, Fairfield Prep, your guy, Finbar Malloy, one of the state's best receivers, looked really good. Caught 7 passes for 74 yards and 2 touchdowns. Especially this beaut to end toward the end of the third quarter as Fairfield Prep gets on the board. 37-27 over Hamden for the big victory of the season. It was only a matter of time that Fairfield Prep would finally jump into the race here. So who knows? You went out, you could end up in Class Double L and get to try and make a 3rd straight Class Double L final appearance. Who knows? You got West Haven at the end. We'll see how the rest of this shakes out. But, hey, good first win by Prep, and great game by Finbar. Pete?
Yeah, I'm going to go. My next shout-out is going to go to Joel Ray of Platt. ran for all 3 touchdowns, including the winner. Platt won a massive game against South Windsor. They're staying afloat in Double M. I think we gave a shout-out to my guy Jason Bruin for winning his 100th game last week. Now this is 101, but Platt is still in the playoff hunt.
Let's kind of stick with teams that won their first game still. Ibrahim Danazumi from Fairfield Ward. 7 catches, 107 yards, and a rushing touchdown. And he made 8 tackles and had a sack in their victory over Bridgeport Central. Fairfield Ward is on the board. Pete.
Sticking with you, I'm going to go with Jaden Veal from Rocky Hill. He had 7 catches for 103 yards. He caught 2 of Joey Mott's 3 touchdown passes. Mott's love me some applesauce as Rocky Hill came back to beat Avon, their first win of the season, 28-6 over said Falcons.
I'm going to stay in Fairfield, Pete. For my shout-out, Ryan Menazzi catching a pair of touchdown passes, including the winner, with 36 seconds left from Grant Stupak as Ludlow 35-32 over McMahon, and Ludlow staying in the race barely in Class L. Pete.
Ooh, this one we're going to have to go back in time. Okay, for my next shout-out, we're going to have to go back in time all the way to last December when Valley Regional beat Gilbert Northwestern 26-14. Since then, the Co-op has not won a game. They lost in the finals. They started the season 0-6, except this past weekend, Valley Old Lyme, their defense came up huge, shutting down North Branford and Tommy Hansen outside of his 98-yard touchdown run. Valley Regional wins 10-7 to get on the board. Good for Coach. Good for the program. Valley is high school football is better when Valley's good. So hopefully this is the beginning of the winning ways for Valley Old Lyme. Sean.
Good, guys. I'm stunned. That was probably the biggest upset of the week, to be honest with you. I'm gonna go to Kyle Colsey from Ridgefield. He's had a great season. He's a great lacrosse player, but he's also been a great receiver. And Ridgefield Ofer to start the year. Finally getting off the schneid, though, with a 21-6 victory over West Hill. He had 2 TD catches. Probably wasn't his best game of the year, but you know what? It tasted a heck of a lot sweeter than all the ones before it. Kyle Colsey from Ridgefield. Pete.
All right, this is a very familiar name we've talked about him regularly this year, but it's got to be Soren Reef. Soren Reef went off for 431 yards rushing, which I believe is 10th all-time in the state, or right outside the top 10, and 7 touchdowns in a 64-35 win over East Lyme. Look, Killingly might not be making the playoffs this year, but Soren Reef has 1,600 yards rushing, 25 rushing touchdowns. This kid, he's going to hit 2,000 yards in 10 games. Yeah. I mean, we haven't seen that since Zach Davis.
Yeah, he's having a good year. I mean, all the teams have to count for him. All the teams.
Yeah. Even in the games that they lost. Yes, he was first-team linebacker first last year, but even in the games they lost, 20 for 97 against Masuk, 35 carries for 189 against Notre Dame-West Haven, and Fitch, 29 carries for 201 yards. Kid's a baller.
Yeah, I don't know what they're doing in Class L, but... finally, let's go with Ben Roden from Northwest United. Again, another baller. 23 of 25. Only missed... Is that right? 23 of 25 from 438 yards. Passing and 4 touchdowns as they beat Wilcox-Caner 39-14 and stayed in first place in the Class M rankings. Those are the shout-outs. The last one I want to mention, though, is not exactly a shout-out, but I just got to mention before we head out of here. Hartford Public defeated Plainville 24-18 in 5 overtimes. My goodness, the 5 overtimes is a record. We've been doing this since 2007. I don't even remember ever a 4 overtime game, much less 5. So in order to do that, you needed to be scoreless. Well, it ended, I think, 12-12, right? It was only 12-12 at the end of regulation. So they only scored twice more, 2 touchdowns, and Plainville had 1 touchdown. So 3 of those overtimes had to have been scoreless. No field goals, no nothing. And then you had to go for 2, and they must have both scored in 1 overtime, and then both missed the 2-point conversion, and then finally a team scored in the 5th overtime to win it. But that's ridiculous. I'd like to know a little bit more information on that game. We just kind of ran out of time here, but that's crazy. 5 overtimes. Woo! My goodness,
Are you sure they didn't? You sure they didn't have the Fairfield County refs and they were playing from the 25?
Oh, I would not put it past anybody that got messed up. That's just a weird. It's a weird thing. I mean, is it possible they missed the 3 and they didn't score? Yeah, sure. No field goal kicker, right? You got to go for it every single time. I mean, it's impossible. But I hope it was okay. I hope everything came out okay. So I don't know. Before I forget, I got one more shout out to give, and that goes over to one of the prep schools. There's been a little bit of quiet there for the last few weeks. Until Friday night, when Salisbury School knocked off unbeaten Cheshire Academy at Masuk Field on Senior Day, no less, 31-28. They rallied from 14 points down early. Austin Luzzy out of New Rochelle throws a dime to Notre Dame-Fairfield and Bridgeport native Bailey Coleman from 25 yards out with 38 seconds left to knock off the Cats and put a serious crimp in their designs for a spot in the overall NEPSAC championship game. Still in good shape for a bowl, but that's a great job by Salisbury, which has been looking to kind of get back into the mix here. And Cheshire Academy, they were undefeated, looking great, probably the best team in New England, right? Dante Reno threw for 306 yards and 4 touchdowns, but Cheshire Academy gets knocked off. They'll be looking to rebound Saturday at Taft, while Salisbury, they play host to Deerfield. And speaking of the prep schools, big game on Saturday night over in Wallingford, same place they played last year, but Avon Old Farms, Choate Rosemary Hall, the 2 unbeaten teams remaining in the Founders League. They will go at it once again, renew hostilities. Last year, if you recall, Choate up big, but Ryan Puglisi and Avon Old Farms rallied back and had a chance to win late, but lost on the missed 2-point conversion, rushed and batted away the last second. 36-35, Choate won that game. And now we go back to the scene of the crime, as it were. Both teams really kind of jockeying for position to be the Founders League champ and most likely the representative in that overall NEPSAC Bowl championship. But that's a few weeks down the road from now, but that's a huge game. So be there Saturday night, 6 o'clock. Should be a great one. All right, so that's a jam-packed show. Not even a guest here, but we had plenty to talk about. We are now moving into November, the final stretch here. I'm going to say final stretch, but the beginning of the last, the last turn here as we head into the final few weeks of the season. We are heading to week 9. We got 10 and 11 after that, and then we go Thanksgiving, right? Thanksgiving is 12, right? Oh my God, it's pretty crazy. So and then the next thing you know, we're playoffs and we're on to Christmas. Deep playoff championships. So that'll do it. Pete, you got anything else to say?
Oh, no. I mean, I feel like the season's going fast, but it feels like we still have so much more to do, and all the exciting stuff has not even come close to happening yet.
No, we got a long way to go. Lots of big games coming up this week. You can find out more about those on the Pick'ems podcast coming out tomorrow. For now, for Pete Paguaga, I'm Sean Patrick Bully. This has been the Meat Talk. This has been the Meat Writer of GameTimeCT.
Love you all.